two fishing hooks crossed and were taken into the girl's mouth. Lips and teeth tightened, and a wonderful melody was played. The old man bathed the girl. He had been taking care of her for a full 10 years. As she was about to come of age, she was going to become his wife. The girl opened the door to deliver drinks to the fishing guests, but the man grabbed her wrist and pulled her into his lap. Curious, the two men asked, what was her relationship with the old man? As they spoke, one of them was about to make a move. The old man's face turned fierce as he drew the bowstring taut. The man was scared and quickly withdrew his hand. The girl, however, calmly removed the arrow as if it were routine. Looking at the girl sleeping soundly, the old man smiled happily. He took out the tape measure and measured the girl, anticipating the ripe fruit of her youth. At exactly 1.6 meters tall, she was just what he had imagined for his wife. The old man opened the calendar and crossed out today with a red pen. There were less than 2 months until the day of the wedding. He lay down peacefully. His aged hand stroked downward, and gently took the girl's tender hand. It had been like this for 10 years. 2 customers greeted the girl and took a photo with her. Intentionally, they threw live fish onto her clothes, and took the opportunity to grope her. The girl was both surprised and delighted. Uneducated, she was ignorant of the differences between men and women. Suddenly, an arrow struck. The old man drew the bow and arrow closer. The 2 men were immediately ashamed and quickly turned away. He grabbed a live fish and threw it fiercely at the man's face. Thinking the matter was over, the 2 men had even worse intentions. They suddenly attacked from behind, and bound the old man together. Then they eagerly pushed open the wooden door. The girl was startled, but she was familiar with the structure of the ship, and the 2 men were panting heavily as they slipped around. The girl slipped into the cellar, leaving a sweet, mischievous smile. The 2 men crawled into the cellar, feeling around in the dark, but the girl quietly circled around behind them and shot an arrow fiercely, directly hitting one man's thigh. She turned to signal to the old man not to worry, and then drew the bowstring taut again, successfully hitting the other man. This was not an uncommon occurrence. The girl knew how to protect herself, until one day, a boy about her age arrived, and he would destroy the old man's dream of 10 years. A college student came to fish at sea, catching the attention of the girl. Her sweet smile made the boy feel shy. Late at night, the old man bathed the girl. The boy happened to see this scene from the window and was shocked. The girl noticed him and smiled again. She had been raised by the old man, and had no understanding of the differences between men and women. The boy asked his father, what was the relationship between the old man and the girl? It turned out that the girl had come aboard at the age of 8, and the old man had been taking care of her for 10 years, with the intention of marrying her when she came of age. But 2 people of the same age will inevitably be drawn to each other. Before leaving, the boy left his headphones for her, pitying her for a life of isolation from the world. After seeing off the guests, the old man returned to the boat, but the girl was listening to her headphones and didn't even greet him. He angrily took them off, forbidding her from having any improper thoughts. But once rebellion arises, it is not easy to stop. Just like this old engine, aging means it will inevitably have its ups and downs. The old man went to the shore to pick up passengers, and the girl took the opportunity to secretly open the cabinet. She didn't know if it was the wedding shoes and dress, but she felt they looked good and immediately put them on. After changing her shoes and clothes, she used her binoculars while wearing her headphones to gaze into the distance, dreaming of that unfamiliar but longed for shore. By the time the old man returned, the girl had changed back into her own clothes. He always brought her gifts. This time it was a blue necklace. Driven by rebellion, the girl sat next to a guest, leaning against his unfamiliar shoulder, provocatively looking at the old man. The man was about to reach out but was pushed away by the old man. He held the sleeping girl, and gently put her back in her own bed. Then he went to the calendar and crossed out today. Turning to look at the girl, he confirmed that she was asleep and crossed out a few more days. But little did he know that his small action had already been noticed by the girl. The girl drew the bowstring taut and aimed at the old man's heart, but under her fierce gaze, she turned the arrow towards the water instead. The boy came back again. The girl looked forward to it with a sweet smile, and reached out to take his hand, completely ignoring the old man following behind. This behavior made the old man feel threatened. He angrily crossed out the diary, and even tore up the whole night, setting the day of the wedding only 7 days away. The girl stepped onto the wooden plank and squatted over the open-air toilet. The boy happened to look up and see this scene. The girl smiled while he blushed and turned away. The 2 were mutually attracted, and leaned together to take a photo. The old man was angry but helpless. That was clearly his wife. The girl looked displeased, and helplessly pulled out an arrow, breaking a sword in front of the old man. The old man couldn't wait any longer. He crossed out the dates and moved up the wedding day. Finally, he simply tore off the whole page. His old hand groped around, seeking the tenderness that had been in his grasp for 10 years. He had held onto her tightly all this time, only waiting for her to grow up. But the girl's rebellion had already begun, and she was a little confused. She quietly slipped into the neighboring cabin late at night, climbed carefully into the boy's bed. Her fingers gently touched him. The boy was startled at first but quickly fell for her. their happiness was once again interrupted. The girl's eyes were full of resentment. The old man couldn't take it anymore. The fruit of 10 years of his upbringing. How could he tolerate someone else taking it away? The old man felt threatened. He tore up the calendar, moving up the wedding date to just a week away. Then he went out with his bow and kept shooting arrows at the customers. He wouldn't make any more money. He had waited for her for 10 years, and no one could ruin it. He sawed off the wooden bed, and changed the bunk beds into a double bed. The two leaned together. He tightly held her hand, fearing she would escape. But a few days later, the college students returned with missing person posters. It turned out that the girl's parents had never given up on finding her. The old man angrily tore the posters and retreated to his cabin. He sharpened his arrowheads with a murderous glint in his eyes, but he purposely missed with his arrows. The boy was frightened, and the final arrow hit the girl. She hurriedly stood in front of him. The old man clenched his bow and arrow, his face twisted in anger, but he watched as his girl finally put down the arrow. The boat's engine broke down. The old man was frustrated with the repairs. It was like himself, aging and impossible to fix. The boy took the girl and left, looking back as a final farewell. They set off towards a brand new world. As the small boat drifted away, the rope gradually tightened, and the other end of the rope was picked up by the old man, and he put it around his neck. He leaned against the doorframe, waiting for death to end his life. But as his breathing became more and more difficult, the old man struggled to reach for his dagger. Looking at the tightened rope, the girl suddenly realized what was happening. She quickly grabbed a hammer and broke the rope. Then she immediately turned the boat around. When the old man saw the girl coming back, he quickly hid the dagger. She ran into the cabin in worry. Looking at the old man who had attempted suicide, she suddenly felt deeply guilty. While holding the old man's wrinkled face, she finally agreed to the wedding. The girl helped the old man bathe. The two of them were completely unguarded. The old man smiled a little, finally able to realize his dream, and the boy was next to them, like a transparent person. She put on a new dress, tied up her long hair, and decorated her cheeks with red paper. Finally, she put on a wedding hat. The two's wedding was officially held. After the complicated etiquette was finished, it was finally time for the husband and wife ceremony. The old man helped the girl take off her clothes, and he also untied his belt. Looking at the tender body, he kissed the girl's face, and the symbol of her virginity disappeared from the corner of her eye. The old man sat at the bow with his guitar, playing gently, with the beautiful sound of strings. The girl quickly fell asleep. The old man pulled the bow of his arrow taut, originally aimed at the girl. He turned and aimed it at the sky. He turned and jumped into the sea from the bow of the ship, but the arrow fell back down. In her dreamlike state, the girl completed her transformation from a girl to a woman. Her smile bloomed again. It seemed like the girl had completed some kind of mission. She waved slightly at the old ship. Life, the old ship, desire, human nature, possession, and love, all sank slowly to the bottom of the sea with the old, worn-out ship.